We hear it all the time when we ask business owners, what is your plan? And they say, grow. Yeah, just going to grow. But we're here to tell you that grow, the one single word, is not good enough to set as your plan.
Yeah, mate, it's astounding how many people just say grow thinking that there's a stack load of substance sitting in behind that, when really it's just sloppy, lazy. And it really highlights that, we want to do something, that we've got capacity and we've got ideas to do more, but we're actually not that jazzed up and energized to make it happen because we haven't actually sat down and thought, well, what does growth look like? What do we want this business to become? And then once we've got an idea of what we want it to become, then we get really clear on what the actions are that we need to be taking to go, this is actually what growth looks like. I'm an accountant and I've previously been doing annual financial statements for the last 25 years, and all of a sudden I'm going to get into business advisory, Luke.
Of course you are.
And grow that stream, and you're going to grow that by starting a podcast. Good luck to you.
That's getting into the plan. Yeah.
Well, getting into the plan, but having an idea of going, okay, well, we're going to grow revenue. Well, okay, what are you going to grow revenue? 5%. It's always 5%. And I love it when businesses try to grow revenue in a contracting economy and try and beat the overall market of what's actually happened, particularly in the last 2 to 3 years. 8%, 10% growth. And it's like, are you sure, mate?
Especially with no context of how they're going to do it.
100%. And it's just like, you need to go back and check those numbers. Otherwise, you're ultimately setting yourself up for failure, particularly when there's a big team at play or a team of people, and there might be salespeople, KPIs, performance bonuses. You're setting all of the stuff to go, yep, we can do this. It's going to be a great year. And it's just like, shit, quarter one. No, we've missed that target. Quarter two. Oh, yeah, no, we've missed that again. And annually, we're tracking way behind. So this great bonus that you were blooming getting everyone to latch onto at the beginning of the year has all of a sudden just become this distant, euphoria kind of place that nirvana, that's the word I said, this great cool little place that you're never actually going to get to, dangling the carrot, but you're never close enough to take the bite.
Yeah, I think it's really evident with people who haven't put their thought into it, like you said before, where you just default to grow because it's sort of what society's built on, right? Like we're chasing growth and GDP all the time, grow slogans. If you're not growing, you're dying, all of this sort of shit. So then when you're not putting thought into, okay, what is it? And more is normally the answer for a lot of people. So if you're not putting time into thinking, what is it that I actually want? Then you're probably going to default to growth. And I think if you don't have plans to grow, then you're sort of like, what are we doing? Why are we even doing this? But you need to start digging a bit deeper of, is it revenue? Is it people? Is it equipment? Is it balance sheet? Is it profitability? Is it tax paid? Is it skill set inside the organization? Is it value of the asset? And start to then ask yourself a layer or two deeper to then figure out, okay, why is that important to you? And then go down that path as well. So that's scary, I think.
I'm really pleased you touched on that last point in there about the asset, the value of it, because I think, like we said before, growth doesn't necessarily have to mean growth on the top line, and that's where people default to, I've got to grow my sales. Whereas actually staying as you are, if that's producing a great lifestyle and a great income and everything in the world is great, cool. Well, then you've got to then transition growth to look like something else, and it would then be, how do I protect and grow the value of the business, because you want to still make it attractive for ultimately, how do I exit? You want people to buy in. Do you want somebody to come and buy you out completely and bolt you on into another business, or you just want to sell it to someone else and walk away? And if you go, right, I'm in this happy place, and then become complacent, you can take your foot off the gas and you're going to erode the value, and you're actually going backwards. So all that good work that's got you there to begin with, although you're not hungry for top line growth, you're just unwinding it because, I don't need to worry about putting in these systems. I don't need to worry about, doing any of this digital kind of stuff to make sure that we're visible to just a wider audience, to make sure that we're keeping pace with everything, because, hey, we've got these great customers over here and it's all on a handshake and nothing's going to change. No, life's good. So growth can mean different things to different people. I think you've just got to make sure that you're really clear about what it is, and then you're taking that determined action.
Yeah, I think you can go through seasons where maybe you are growing top line, maybe you're growing the asset value, maybe you're growing processes, teams, profitability, refining things. That's still growth. And you might be in a season where it's not important to you to keep adding on people, but then you might be in a season where it is. And again, it comes back to being deliberate around what it actually is that you're trying to build. And I think two of the dangers is that, one, people don't know what they're trying to build. So then naturally you think, well, okay, I'll get more people, then I'll get more work to pay for the people. And now we need more people because there's more problems. So we better solve that by hiring somebody else. Then all of a sudden we need this person to manage all those people. And then we need more work to pay for all of those. And you get to this business and you go, oh, did I even want that? Or secondly, you do start growing and then you start to break through some of the ceilings. So your revenue increases, your profitability increases, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to then match my lifestyle with this income, and everybody's familiar with lifestyle creep. And then it's like, okay, well, then you have to maintain that, but then that's not enough anymore. So then you've got to, keep going. And we, I guess, are in a privileged position as business advisors where we get to sit down and ask people, what do you want to achieve? And then push them. And then why is it that you want to do that? And then, okay, what does that actually mean? Okay, you're right, flexibility and financial freedom and stuff like that. What does that actually mean? And have these conversations. And I think it's very easy to get caught in the sort of more, which is fine if that's what you want to do, but shit, you need a plan to be able to do it rather than just saying grow and more and, more people, more jobs.
Yeah, and back to your earlier point where the danger or the risk of just going out and growing and adding more people, I would, back to my first comment, say that's sloppy growth because you're ultimately going to end up with a sloppy balance sheet and you're going to come massively undone because you're going to come to a cash crunch because you've hired people. You haven't thought about the cash flow impact. You're having to buy more stock. And it's just this massive burden on a business where you think, oh, I'm going to grow for the sake of growing, but haven't been really structured in your approaches to how to do it because you haven't gone and got your crystal ball out and then mapped out, okay, if we do this, what is the impact? And then gone and got the right advice from your accountant, your advisor, whoever it is to go, okay, I've got this idea and I want to do this. If I plan it out and map it out, how's that going to impact my P&L? Does it actually make sense? If I add these more people in, how's it going to impact my gross profit? How's it going to impact my overheads? Oh, if I need to go and get another person, do I need to then go, okay, they need a phone, they need a vehicle, they need computers, all of these other incidental costs that you've got all of a sudden bolt on. Then you're looking at your P&L and I was like, oh, gee, actually, that's not looking as rosy as what I thought it might. How else could I do this? Or actually, no, those numbers stack up, but we're going to have to be paying a wage bill before the sales come on board. How does that impact cash flow? So, yeah, you can go out and shoot and then aim, but I think if business owners pause and go, okay, what is growth, which gives them a chance to aim and then shoot, you're going to have a much higher chance of success.
Well, we'll give a really good example of this, right? Now, this won't be applicable for everyone, but if I was to 80-20 it, I would say that most business owners that we work with, when they talk to us about growing, they actually want more cash in the bank. That's the end outcome they want. They want to be able to have cash sitting in their bank and they've put the tax aside and they go, now I get to decide where to deploy this, whether it's personal or back maybe into the business, but they've got it. They've done the work and it's at profit and they've turned the profit into cash. Now, let's take a business owner who is turning over $1 million. They're taking a PAYE salary out of it, happy days, and they're still left with about $100,000 of profit. Now, from the outside, many people will be like, shit, that's a pretty epic business. Okay, cool. We've got $1 million worth of turnover in that 1 in 15% sort of bracket. And then they're getting an income, plus they've then got a profit of $100,000. So then they've got about $30,000 of tax to pay on that. Now they say, well, you know what, we want to grow. That's not enough. So the plan that they come up with is let's get some bigger lease space, then we can go a bit bigger. We can get a bit more equipment and some flasher stuff and do some jobs that we can see over there that we're not doing yet, but we know there's an opportunity there and we're going to have to hire. So now we're leases, equipment, hireage, etc. And fast forward a year and they've increased their profitability and done really well and got all of this. And now they've actually got $150,000 net profit as well. So profits increased by 50%. Now, all of that sounds great, but I'll tell you the problem at year one and at year two.
Yep.
At year one, the $100,000 worth of profit is tied up in debtors. And at year two, the $150,000 is tied up in debtors. So the business has grown at a top line. We've increased the number of people. We've got some more gear. We've taken on debt to be able to pay for that. And we've got this great lease and great business and we're growing, but the problem still remains. The business owner's like, where's the cash? I want the cash in my back pocket. So growth for them should actually be, hey, why don't we target decreasing our debtors from $100,000 down to $20,000? Why is 10% of our turnover and therefore our profit
Locked up in debtors.
Yeah, and I don't have the cash. Now, what that business owner actually wants is they want more money in the back pocket. But if they're not willing to address the actual problem, then they're just going to magnify the problem through growth. So our advice, like when we talk to business owners, we have to stop and be like, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah.
And if we can see that what they're going to do, if they're just going to grow what they currently have, you're just going to take the same problems with you and they're just going to get bigger.
That's where we often say cash flow is the outcome, not the cause.
Yes.
And that's a great example of it, that they've got a cash flow problem, but cash flow hasn't caused that. It's the fact that they've mismanaged their debtors along the way of going, we've been so laser focused on growth and doing all of these other activities which have yielded a 50% increase in profit. Great result. Fantastic. But profit doesn't equal cash, and we've been sloppy in our approach because we've neglected the balance sheet. And then your mind goes to, have you set up the invoice reminders in Xero? Are you taking deposits? Can you be taking direct debit? Break the barriers down of going, how can we collect the cash faster so we don't get into this problem? And that's the whole point of having a structured plan of going, okay, if you grow, you're going to be working with more people, or the dollar amounts are going to increase. How are you going to combat the fact that more cash is going to be tied up, and we can cycle that through the business faster so that releases that back into the bank balance so you can go again?
Yeah, and I think that's where growth for a business owner like that in that example is actually about growing themselves. Because if you're not willing to have those tough conversations to get that cash in from people who owe you money, you're going to be the same person in a year's time. So the business will grow, but you don't grow as an individual. So then your risks grow as well. And that is that one of them does go under, one of them doesn't pay you ever, and basically, voomp, you're just wiped out your profitability. Okay, there was 30 grand worth of debtors that we'll never get. Okay, your profit drops from 150 to 120. So you did all that extra work. Everybody got paid. The finance company got paid. The landlord got paid. The new employees got paid. And the clients got their work done for them. And you didn't get paid.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So it's tough to actually look at yourself and go, right, what is it that I can get better at and grow at myself individually that I can then become a better business owner? And maybe that's how you get closer to the things that you actually want, rather than just sort of, oh, we want to grow. Grow for growth's sake.
I think the point that you make about getting better, and when it's quite determined and planned out, will ultimately result in confidence.
Yes.
And the more you grow in confidence, the higher your chances of actually achieving success, because you're naturally just going to be critical of yourself, taking on board feedback, input from other people, and going, right, I need to prepare and learn. I'm getting confident. I'm learning new skills. I'm getting better. And it carries on. And yes, it's a roller coaster and goes up and down, and it doesn't go in this linear path, but the trajectory overall is up.
Yeah, and I think the exercise that I've been doing when I've been speaking recently is I'll say to people in the room, like, who's got goals for their business? Now, admittedly, most people are too scared to put their hand up, and you kind of look around, and it's a bit like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? But normally some hands go up. And then I say, right, who's got a business plan or a plan for their business? I'm like, come on, guys, like, don't be shy. And I think it encourages a few more people to put their hand up. But then I say, okay, over the last 7 days, who has put an offer out into the market? And there's normally like one hand that goes up in a room of like 80 to 100.
Not many.
And I say, well, come on, guys, let's be honest. What about 30 days? Okay, yeah, and maybe a couple more hands go up, but never as many hands go up as the people who have plans and goals. So it's interesting that we're fascinated and fixated on like growth. Like growth is my strategy, which normally means increasing my revenue. But then when you say to people, so have you taken an action to increase your growth? No hands go up.
Yeah.
So those two things are basically like at loggerheads like that.
I'm surprised more people haven't put their hands up at the who's got a goal, because typically when we sit down with business owners one-on-one, they've got all of these ideals swirling around in their head. It's, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I'd love to be able to do this. Like, those are all goals. And the piece that you're talking about there is going, well, how do we take what's in the head, put some structure around it to go, how can we make this goal happen? And then importantly, what are the practical tactics that you need to go away and implement consistently to achieve that? And then that's the missing piece that you're talking about, is you've got all these hands going up, I've got a goal, da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, well, how many people are actually doing something determined and practical about it? No one, because it's too hard to take something that's potentially fuzzy or aspirational, and you don't want to stick your head up for fear of being knocked down or failing.
Yeah.
And then all the tall poppies come along, smack, smack, smack. Oh, I told you so. Get back in your box.
Yeah.
Put it down, put your head down, get to work, and then go, right, what are the tactics? What are the actual items I need to go away and work on? And that's where, more often than not, you're not going to have the answers as a business owner, because you're venturing out into areas of business that you've never been exposed to before. And as a business owner, you're not expected to have the answers. You naturally get into it because you're a good technician at what you do. Advertising and marketing, you know nothing about that. Go and get some help. Have you ever sent an email to your database? What's a database?
Yeah.
You know, you've got to go away and start and learn this stuff. And if you don't have the time to invest in learning that stuff yourself, go and find somebody who's a specialist and pay for it so it frees you up to go off and carry on doing what you're doing.
I think the goal piece, it sort of shows, like, if you don't have goals, well, then how do you know what the actions are?
Yeah.
You know? So then people go, well, like, no, why would I put an offer into the market because I don't have any goals? And it highlights, I think, the people who do have goals, it then makes it easier to then have a plan, and it makes it easier to identify the actions. And like, that is what you're competing with. Fascinating. At the moment, we are hiring for a senior accountant, right? And the job application or the summary sort of says that you need to attach a CV, attach a cover letter, and the cover letter is just purely there as a test.
Yeah.
And then here's all the different things like this level of experience, whatnot. And I think 80% of them, like, they can't actually do the role, but they're applying anyway. And then probably out of 15 or 17, I think 3-4 might have done a cover letter.
Wow, that's some low stats for people that you would think are highly qualified.
This is a
because they've had to
senior
go to university and whatnot.
Yeah, at a manager level. It's not just like, okay, like, all right, grad role or something, we're all applying, hundreds of us, who's going to get it?
Yeah.
And then the ones with a cover letter are normally like de-hiring manager. They're not actually built on the job.
Yeah.
And then the only one that's made it personalised, it's like Next Advisory and use some stuff off of our website, purely can't do the role. It's like they're not even...
Legally.
Yeah. But again, like, it shows you that this is what you're competing with out there. Even for employees, like, this is the standard that people... And I posted about it on LinkedIn. You've got all this backlash being like, why do they need to do a cover letter? Like, oh, don't you know how tedious it is applying for a job? I'm like, do you know how fucking tedious it is being broke? Like, not having a job, you know?
And the word that popped into my mind is shortcuts. But I wouldn't call it a shortcut. There's tools available to help you. ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And coming back to the thing about goals, as a business owner, if you're not sure where to start, I would start with ChatGPT and upload your P&L for the last 3 years, upload your balance sheet, put it in either PDF or Excel format to make sure that a good friend Shazza can read it, and then say, hey, look, this is my business, these are the results, this is how I'm feeling, these are the challenges that I face. This is actually what I want to achieve. Here's some high-level goals. In 1 year, I want to be able to increase revenue by that, or I want to be able to increase my gross profit by some specific type of goal that you want to achieve. Make it only 1 year, just to, not blow your mind in 5 years' time. Oh, I want to go from $1 million to $15 million in 5 years, and all of a sudden, just break it down. And then go, hey, Chazza, this is my current position, these are my challenges, this is what I want to do, give me some advice.
Yeah.
And you'll blow yourself away as to what ChatGPT will come up to start and get the ball rolling. And it's an ideas factory to go, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Oh, that's interesting. And then you can take the things that intrigue you or you're curious about and go, how can I learn more about those and then take them and implement them in my business? Because it's all well and good reading and go, well, that's a good idea. Let's now take that idea and put it into action.
Yeah, it should be that every day we can identify something in our business where we go, that's going to move the needle. Like, that's my one thing. What's my one thing that I'm going to do today? And if you do that consistently, you'll drop the ball a lot of the days and you won't be able to do it because you'll be caught up doing the work or you'll be solving a problem or whatever. But even if you're doing that 50, 60% of the year and actually trying to move the business forward, man, you just end up so much further ahead of other people because like most people aren't setting goals, they're not setting plans, they're not going to take any action. And the people who work with us and spend thousands and thousands of dollars, like, the big part that they like about it is the accountability. We're like, don't waste our time and don't waste your money. Like, we need to go and do this. And I think as we spoke about on prior pods, the beauty of ChatGPT can get you going, but it can't like force you to do it. And it's going to still be the same issue. Everyone's going to have even more knowledge and know what to do, but they can't do it. And I think that's where practitioners and people with experience are going to become really valuable, because people are going to go, well, I see them doing it and getting the results. I'm going to seek mentorship from them.
That brings me to my next point around all of the goals and bits and pieces is, as a business owner, you've got to recognize we're doing something different and you're getting out of your comfort zone, and it's going to hurt and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be natural to go, oh, no, I'll park that and go and do something that I'm used to doing. And time again, we hear from business owners, oh, I want to be able to do this, but I need to find more time. And it's just like, well, until you actually start and take some action, make some effort to find the time, you're never going to do it. Never, ever. And again, I think ChatGPT, put it in and go, this is what I do. Give me some top tips of how I can put some more time into my day so that I can work on my business, not in it. And yes, with working on with business owners one-on-one, we can help them come up with that. But because it is so unique, and I think doing it in a group environment can be hard, and there's a whole heap of different tactics and tools and bits and pieces business owners can use, but you ultimately need to have a commitment to your business and yourself that you've magically got to find this time and do something different, because if you're not going to accept that, then nothing's going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 3 really good questions people can ask themselves are basically, what do I want to achieve in the next 12 months? Now, that's very high level. And then secondly, but it should get you started in terms of like, okay, what do I want to achieve? Then you're getting back to like, is it cash? Is it revenue? And be honest. Don't be like growth. It's like more money in the bank account. How much? Great. Okay, then we can get into the how we're going to do it. But secondly, start thinking more about your role and what do I want to be doing in this business in 12 months' time. So then you're working towards becoming a different form of employee or shareholder employee in that business. And that's going to get you thinking about, do I like what I do? What don't I like doing? Who could be doing? And then you're going to go on that path as well. And then finally, like once you've got that year piece nutted out, then you can start thinking like, okay, what can I do today that I know already works? And if you're clear on what it is that you want and then who you want to be, you'll know that you've done things in the past that were really fulfilling and that, did move the business forward. What's worked in the past, and what hasn't. And then you should be able to, in that short exercise over half an hour, identify some things where you go, like, that's what I want. I want more cash. Who do I want to be? Like, I want to be a business owner that's directing it, not just like back on the tools. Then what's worked in the past? Well, actually, I sent an email one time and said, hey, we need this money in, and we got really desperate. We did it, and they paid the next day. Well, like, that worked. Then maybe I'll go back and do that. That's going to then bring cash back into the business. I'm being more of a business owner. And then, okay, how do we be more proactive rather than reactive? Maybe I need to, make a note to go, I need to change these terms. I need to start asking for a deposit. We actually did that once and they had no qualms about it. Shit, why don't we do that anymore? And then slowly the person in the middle becomes a better business owner. They start tidying up some of these things based on what's worked previously. You start having more cash in the bank or whatever it is that you want to achieve from the business. And the flywheel just starts to flow faster and faster.
A couple of tactics that I would suggest to business owners there that you can immediately implement in your business would be set a daily calendar reminder, Monday to Friday or even Monday to Sunday if you're a freak, and go, what's one thing I can do today to work on my business?
Nice.
And just to get your mind thinking about it and go, hang on, let's start the day before we get default into on the tools and doing what comes naturally. Let's pause and go, right, what's one thing I can do differently today that's going to help me do something different in the future because I'm going to make an impact. I'm going to try and move the needle. Yep. Then I'd have a separate reminder at the end of the week and call it a reflection reminder.
Nice.
And go, what are the things that I've done over the last week? Well, actually, have I been honest and accountable to myself and done what I said I wanted to do? And then of the things that I've done, what's the impact that's happened? What are the results? What's working? What's not working? And if it's send an email, what email worked? What didn't? Have I done phone calls? Are the questions that I'm asking, whatever it is, you can go, oh, gee, and then you're going to start and build up data, trends, insights. And the more you do it, it's going to add more fuel to your fire because it's going to give you confidence. And then you go, shit, there's a pattern here. There's these 3 or 4 things that I can just do on rinse and repeat. And I know it's going to have an impact and move the needle on the business. And if I keep focusing on those and then start and put more time and energy into them, they're going to have a massive impact in 12 months' time.
Yeah, and to reveal a bit of our strategy, that's kind of what we've been doing in a way where I've tried to go back to keep the BD and the growth of Next Advisory going. I'm like, okay, what works really well? Well, email seems to work really well and people read it, and we've got higher open rates than most normal marketing channels. So I'm like, okay.
Strange for accountants.
Yeah, there's an answer there. And like people reply to the emails or end up booking a call. I'm like, okay, I should probably do more of that. And then, oh, great. People want to come to these workshops. Okay, let's weed out the people that are just, not really invested in themselves. Let's move to a paid model to get out the right types of people. Some of them are then getting closer to us, learning what it's like to deal with us, what ideas. Oh shit, if we got those ideas from $100, what's it going to look like if I do a session or if I move my accounting to them? And then some of those people are now slowly starting to get in touch saying, hey, can you explore doing some planning with me or my accounting? Because they've got to a pain point with their current accountant, et cetera, or in their business. And we're starting to see it's like, oh, wow, these people are coming back. And then like similarly, all right, we want to be doing more work around buying a business, valuations and stuff. Well, we're not really doing any content about that, but we're doing heaps of stuff in the background. Let's bring it to the front. Okay, let's start doing a bit of advertising towards it. All right, let's go re-record that. Let's go and do it from this angle. That person asked this. Okay, let's network with those people. And then over a 12 and 18-month window, it's like, oh, there's a steady stream of it coming in. So I hope when people listen to this stuff, know that it comes from a place of this is advice we're giving our clients, but a lot of the stuff we're testing and playing with ourselves. Yeah. And like we could be doing 1,000 things. And then sometimes it's like, we'll have massive conversations and we're like, yeah, but let's just dial it back to 2 or 3.
1,000 rental property returns?
Yes. We could be we could be franchising and going nationwide, like all this shit. And it's like, is that actually what we want? Like, no. So then okay, the convo ends pretty quickly because we're very clear on those types of things. So I think, finding what does work well for you in your business is such an underrated hack, because once you can always go back to that. And it's when it's not working that you're like, oh shit, what's changed here? Is it the market? Is it what we're doing? Is it the economy, etc.? But a lot of these things are principles that stay the same.
I reckon that the hidden piece that's amongst that is so many people haven't sat back and truly identified what brings them fulfillment.
Yeah.
And I'm going to chase what's going to make me happy, not what people think I should be doing, because they end up just punching out rental tax returns because it's just like, oh, we can do that and we can do it really well and scale it and make a lot of money. Well, are you fulfilled doing it? And I think if you just come back and go, well, what is it that you actually want? And then be prepared to say no, knowing that there's going to be a yes around the corner, that really separates the people with the scarcity versus abundance mindset. And the abundance mindset will come into play if you're prepared to implement the tactics to achieve your goal.
Finally, to wrap up, mate, I did something interesting when speaking the other day. I said, before we start, can you please put your hand up if you're optimistic about the next year in business? And very few hands went up.
No way.
Yeah, it was Wellington, by the way.
Okay.
It's tough down there.
It is.
Now, then I said, okay, what about 5 years? A lot more hands go up.
Really?
I said, okay, what about 10 years? A lot of hands.
Wow.
But isn't it fascinating that when we zoom out over a decade, it's like we've got no reason not to be optimistic about our business. 5 years, okay, same thing. 1 year, we're like, nah. So what is that, And individually, we've got to figure that out. But I think we know that longer term, things are fine, but it should reveal to us that we need to do what it is that we know we need to do to be optimistic over a 10-year window, and we need to do it in the next fucking 12 months. Like, we need to start doing it.
I wonder if that's because people know that over the long term, like everything works out because just the wider economy does well.
Yeah.
And there's been no predetermined planned action that you're taking now to actually get ahead of where just the average person is tracking to be. Because I guess that's what we're talking about here is going, how can we distinguish ourselves from just being on the average, the median line, to going, right, we want to be above average and beat all the statistics that are out there.
100%. And I did joke, I said, okay, I guess, well, this is Wellington, so you're probably guaranteed another government change in the next 10 years. But they didn't really laugh. I was like,
Didn't they?
Okay. But I'd only just sort of taken the stage, so I think they're like, geez, mate, I've got to try and dial back the political chat with these new rooms. But I'm only finding my feet and I'm learning. But like what we've been talking about here, you've got to know what it is you want to be doing, and then is it fulfilling? And then, okay, how are you going to go and do some more of that stuff? So, yeah, I think the whole growth thing is too much of an easy cop-out. And for our listeners and for aspirational business owners, you want to be challenging yourself to think deeper than that.